Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to SUNY Adirondack and Queensbury along the corridor of the Champlain Canal. And it's all about the Champlain Canal today. 200 years old, actually in September, but we're celebrating early. And we began our morning at the Champlain Canal Visitor Center, Gateway Visitor Center in Queensbury to present a plaque on behalf of the Canal Recreationway Commission, Canal Corporation, IPA, and Canal Society of New York State. So it was a wonderful morning, and we are very enlightened. Welcome. It's meeting 113 of the Canal Recreationway Commission. I'm Brian Stratton, the acting chair of the CRC. And I want to thank all of our commissioners who have traveled far and wide to be with us today, particularly Commissioner Torte, who made the longest drive of his tenure today. About 20 miles as opposed to 200, right? All right, let's hear for the Champlain Canal for a small commute time. And so we welcome the people who are with us on screen, who we can't see yet, but I'm sure we will see it at some point, and I'm sure that you can hear me. And our thanks this morning to Chairman Tom Richardson and the Historic Hudson Blue River Partnership for the tour of the plaque presentation earlier today. And also our thanks to Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor Executive Director Bob Radliff for his presentation of the historic barge canal plaque that will be affixed to Champlain Canal Lock 5 in Schuylerville. Beautiful Champlain Canal Lock 5. So that will be affixed later by our crews, and we'll be able to go there when we go to the Hudson River Crossing Park. So 1823 to 2023, and that's that. For expedience sake, we're going to deviate from our normal introductions process and let me welcome the members of our Canal Recreationway Commission who are with us in person today. And let's go to the far end of the table. Michelle Bernard is here, Commissioner Michelle Bernard, Commissioner Dan Wiles, Commissioner Steve Iachetta, Commissioner Rob Patorti, our wonderful NIPA trustee and biggest champion of the canal from Central New York to Lake Champlain, Dee Gonzalez. Thank you, trustee, for being with us. And on screen, I think we have Cal Lysakowski. I'm sorry, I told you you should switch to but Cal is here with us, and then joining us on screen today, I am told Commissioner Ken DeRoller and Commissioner Doug Cole. So welcome Commissioners DeRoller and Cole. We have state representatives with us, although I have not done the homework to put down who they are. But we welcome all of our regional planning executives and our state agency representatives from the Department of Transportation, the Department of Parks, the Department of Environmental Conservation, and Empire State Development. And then I would say I have to introduce you again. Okay. So I am informed that we have a quorum now, and with that, we will call the meeting to order. And of course, as always, the first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, number 112, which was held in person and virtually on April 6th at the Canal Corporation Regional Offices in Syracuse. All of you should receive a copy of those minutes and have the opportunity to review them. And I will ask for a motion to approve and then a second, and then we'll have discussion, any changes to the minutes. So, motion to move by Commissioner Patorti, motion to second by Commissioner Bernard. Discussion and comments on the minutes of the last meeting. Good. It has been moved and seconded, and saying no discussion. All in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. The minutes are approved. Thank you very much. We are going to proceed directly into our operations update to let you know what's going on the canal as we enter into our final months, early August and September and October, and most importantly, to prepare for our busy winter work hard to think about winter work on a beautiful day like this, but it's never from our minds. And with that, I would like to introduce Canal's Director of Waterways Management, Ambrose Barbudo, who is with us virtually. Ambrose, can you hear me?
Sure. Thanks, Director. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I couldn't be there in person. Multiple bookings today, so I'll be doing this remotely. So I'll start off with a little update on our staffing situation. You know, we continue with our permanent staffing. Where we're struggling this year, especially, is our seasonal staffing. We rely heavily on seasonal staff to help us not only run the locks, but, you know, our floating plan where we do all our dredging, you know, bank walk program. And this year we were only able to hire 60% of the required seasonal staffing that we needed. So, you know, needless to say, we're struggling. We're getting along, you know, we're moving people around as needed, but definitely not a situation we want to repeat moving forward. So, you know, we're trying to improve that situation. And now, you know, as we get ready to move into the winter season, we'll start focusing on hiring of our winter seasonals. So with that, next slide, please. Just some project updates. You know, as I said, we're currently in the middle of our navigation season program. You know, there's dredging going on across the season or across the state. That's our main focus in the summer, along with operation of the locks. One dredging project I wanted to mention, because recently we had a approval of an abandonment in Montour Falls. We were dredging in that area, although we had an issue with the upland disposal sites on some of the embankments. So we had to shut that operation down. We moved to Watkins Glen. So we're dredging in Watkins Glen, but with the hope of moving back to Montour Falls in the near future. Also, you know, it's just over a couple months away till we'll be closing the system down on October 11th. So I wanted to give everyone a primer for where we're going to be doing our pump outs this year. So in the east, we're going to be at lock C4 and or C8, lock E4, E10, and E17. Those will all be full pump outs. So hopefully we can get some folks out on site again. That's been very successful. In the west, we'll be at lock 01 on the Oswego, E28A and 28B, lock E33, and then lock E34 and 35 out in Lockport. I also wanted to mention some exciting news. You know, over the last few years, we've been losing some of our tugboats due to some Coast Guard inspections. So we just recently passed a project to fabricate 4 new tugboats. We're going to receive 2 of them in 2025, and then another 2 in 2027. This is going to be very helpful for our operations because the tugboat is an essential tool across our entire system. So as I said, very exciting news on that front. Next slide. So title consolidation, this is a project we've been working on for some time now. Our organization at the labor level has quite a few titles, as you can imagine. It's basically a holdover for many years of uniqueness of canals. So we began an effort of trying to consolidate some of these titles. And what this does for us, it provides some career mobility for our employees, where sometimes now they tend to get into silos where they start in one area of our organization, they continue there, and then an opening opens up in another area, and unfortunately they're not eligible for a promotion. So by doing this, we're hoping that people can move around, get more experience, and have more opportunities. But it also increases the flexibility that we as managers can have by being able to move people around where they're needed, so that, you know, as I said, with some of the efforts we've been having to try to recruit seasonals, this hopefully will help all across the board. So this is going to be a phased approach. We're going to have 4 phases of it. Yesterday, we rolled out the very first phase, which affects our lowest entry level employees. You know, and it went over very well. We did a town hall meeting. We had managers out at all the sections to answer any questions, and it seemed to be pretty well received. So we hope to move forward with the other phases over the next 6 months to a year, and then continue from there. So this is exciting as well to help both the employees and the organization. The next slide. Also, our training program. When we were with the Thruway, we relied on the Thruway's Training Bureau to help us with certain types of training. And unfortunately, when we left the Thruway, there was some time there where we were doing some on-the-job training in our sections, but we lacked an overall training program. So I was asked to kind of, let's see if we can get that up and running again. And obviously with the title consolidation that I talked about previously, the training program is the main component of that, so that we provide our employees with the training that's necessary so they can be multifaceted. So we went through a process of working with all our employees to identify, you know, what are the modules that you think are necessary? What are some of the trainings we've not had for the last few years? So we came up with a pretty good list. And then we recently hired a contingent worker who has basically worked their entire career with professional training development. So we've started working through that list of modules. We've gotten about a half dozen, which are basically basic entry-level modules that will help us with the first phase of this training program. But also, as we continue to hire seasonal employees in certain areas, you know, when they walk in the door, we can at least provide some basic training so that when they get out on that job site, they at least have, you know, a little bit of knowledge so they can work with their supervisor or fellow employees to get that additional on-the-job training that's so critical. So, you know, this is very exciting as well. It's been long overdue, but it's well underway now. So that's my update. Anyone questions for me?
Ambrose, thank you very much. We have one question from Commissioner Wiles. Commissioner.
Good afternoon, Ambrose. 4 new tugs. So we're pretty much locked in on still doing maintenance in-house through the foreseeable future.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have to. I mean, there's just no way. The knowledge, the skill. You know, we rely on contractors as needed, but you know, the addition of these new tugs are going to help us only do our job better in-house.
Thanks.
Any other questions for Ambrose on the presentation? Ambrose, do you think that some of the title changes and the training programs would have an impact on the seasonal work or our ability to more fully staff the lots during the season?
I think we hope that, you know, as I was in Utica yesterday, for example, when we rolled this out, and I tried to explain to there was several seasonals in the room, that hopefully this will give them and, you know, future employees more opportunities, because now, you know, when they work here for a summer, they may get to work on several aspects of the canal, not just one area. So, you know, they all sound enthused about that, with possible more opportunities, and hopefully that'll help us get more folks in the door as well.
Thank you. Any other questions for Ambrose from the commissioners?
This is Ken Roller. I have one question for Ambrose.
Welcome. Good to have you with us.
Well, thank you. On your title consolidation, is there one person in charge, or is it leveraged into your management staff to try to get the culture as you change in this mobility and enhanced career paths?
I think it's a combination. You know, we've talked to some of our supervisors out in the field, and, you know, some of the day-to-day assignments of the task are going to be up to them. Because I think, there will still be folks that mainly work in certain areas, but having the ability to move, a few people over to another group for a day or a week is going to help us, because now sometimes, for example, we may have a tugboat and the captain takes a week off. Well, the staff on that boat, they're kind of stuck because they can't go anywhere. Now we can take those folks, maybe put them on a maintenance crew or help us run a lock for a couple days, which now we don't have that ability. So I think it's going to be a combination. I don't think it's going to be any one person dictating, how this all happens. It's going to be a group effort. There will be some growing pains as anything new like this, but we hope that, the benefits are just going to keep gaining as the staff gets into this program, and 5-10 years from now, as they've come up through the program, we're going to have much better rounded employees moving forward. So I hope that answered your question.
It does. I like your approach, trying to change your culture. It needs all hands on deck kind of thing. So that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Ken Roller, on the meeting, and I'm assuming that Doug Cole is on there too. Commissioner Cole, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Great, good. We can't see you, but we can hear you. That's great. I also want to make note of, we have two of our HC representatives with us on screen, Sarah Emmer from Empire State Development in Iowa, New York, and Laura Rivera from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Thank you, Sarah and Laura, for being with us also. Okay. With no further questions for Ambrose, we'll let Ambrose go and move on to number 5 on the agenda, and that is report on the submittal of the work of the Upstate Flood Mitigation Task Force. As our commissioners and CRC delegation know, that for the past year we have been engaged in the process of undertaking Governor Hochul's directed Upstate Flood Mitigation Task Force work, which began in August of 2022. I'm pleased to report to the Commission that we fulfilled the governor's deadline of submitting the complete final report by July 1st of this year. Here to provide an update on the final report and the next steps that we are engaged in underway is Executive Deputy Director Rebecca Hughes. And I want to make note that both Rebecca and Ken Kemp in our Syracuse office did an outstanding job in guiding the process through public hearings, through committees, and a lot of work that went into this extremely complex issue, but maybe the work is only just started. So here's Rebecca.
Brian. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a few things that are happening on the Champlain Canal. Just coming off of this afternoon's really wonderful commemorative event that was so well attended. So I did want to mention a few times during today's event. The concept of commercial shipping came up on the Champlain, and I think there's a school of thought that commercial shipping is a bygone era, and I think there's just some really exciting emerging trends in commercial shipping that are happening on the Champlain. Our permitting team and real property teams have worked very closely with Rainstone, a company that's based out of Pennsylvania and New Jersey, who is a 5th generation stone aggregate mining company that has a great reputation in the communities where they've worked previously. They've purchased the quarry in Whitehall, as well as some surrounding parcels with an eye toward expansion in the future. And this summer, they've been working with New York State Marine Highway to ship stone aggregate through the Champlain Canal, as well as jetty stone, so huge stone rocks. All of its granite that is shipped out of the federal lock in Troy and then down to New York City, where it's used to fortify the Manhattan coastline. It's all, I just learned this term, it's friction stone. So it's a stone that can be used for walking surfaces. It's got that, grit that is safer than a limestone. So there's demand for this domestically and really just in the Northeast. I asked how far they're shipping, and all of their demand is really in the tri-state area. And what they achieve by shipping on the canal is a great deal of cost efficiency, given, the forthcoming congestion pricing and tension between some of the bridgeways and, cognizance about on-road emissions. And this is also a lower emissions means of moving heavy goods. So you can get many, many truckloads onto a single barge load, and they're not able to be fully laden at this point because of the need for additional depth, but they're still able to economically ship by canal. So I just wanted to share a little bit about that. The business is really getting up and running, has an eye toward expansion, and eventually hopes to ship over a million. I don't remember, 100 million tons per year. And this is the strong and wrong I told you about, you just go with it, right? A lot of stone. I'll verify for the minutes and can share those after the meeting. So they are ramping up that operation, and I just think that that's really exciting at this time, thinking about, the truckloads that would otherwise go through communities when instead we can use this waterway that we have as a resource now. I also just wanted to touch on aquatic invasive species. So I think everyone who knows me knows I use the term dynamic tension a lot when I talk about the canal, or dichotomies, forces that sometimes feel like they're opposing. Those show up for us 100 times a day in our work on the canal, and this is no exception. So as we talked about a lot all through last year, the invasive brown goby made its way through the Erie Canal, bringing that species from the Great Lakes to the mouth of the Hudson River. We continue to monitor for its presence, working closely with the Department of Environmental Conservation and the U.S. Geologic Survey to do sampling, both including live sampling as well as eDNA sampling, which can be an early or preliminary indicator of species movement. I'm happy to say that we've seen no new movement of the round goby. It has not moved past Loch C1 on the Champlain. But we continue to monitor, and we continue to employ the tactics that we defined in our rapid response plan last year. We did update the rapid response plan just ahead of this year's navigation season. We did some computer modeling of our double training procedures, which we tweaked based on the data and those insights. And we still have scheduled blockages at Loch C1 and C2 on the Champlain Canal. So this has been, a little bit of a point of friction with boaters, understandably, who might wait several hours to lock through, or for marinas who are nearby who depend on the business of those boats coming through and using their facilities. We've had a lot of listening sessions. We've made some adjustments that don't threaten, vulnerability to aquatic invasives, but have made conditions better for marinas. But we are watching that, and certainly as we see a company like Brainstone investing very heavily in the North Country, we're also cognizant that we have this stewardship role to play in terms of managing aquatic invasives, and we keep our eyes wide open and talk to them openly about what we see and anticipate, so they're fully abreast of that potential. But just those two updates kind of intersecting. So back to the topic at hand, which is the Upstate Flood Mitigation Task Force. As Brian said, that was passed into law July 1st of 2022, with a deadline to submit a report to the governor by July 1st of 2023. We submitted that a day early, June 30th of this year. And this was really, I think a triumph in a lot of ways. The task force came about because of pervasive flooding that's impacted both the Oswego River Basin in terms of long-standing flooding that impacts people's septic systems and wells and property lines, and also in the Mohawk River Basin, where flooding, as it moves through the valley, is really fast and very destructive. So two very different water basins, but both grappling with flooding. And if you have a chance to review the executive summary of the Upstate Flood Task Force, I think you'll find a really succinct overview of the conditions that lead to those flood scenarios, as well as recommendations that the task force brought forward. As Brian said, Ken stepped up to the plate and really took this as a full-time job, not only convening the task force to meet the requirements of the legislation, but also convening community members with Joelle Murray Karsten, our Central New York public and government affairs rep, going to people's homes, going to establishments in the impacted areas to listen and learn about what people have encountered with flood conditions. So I think that caring, that dedication made this a much more robust report. And as we say, now the work begins. So the report is published, the recommendations are clear. Two of the sponsoring members of the legislature, Senator Mannion and Assemblymember Sturkey, held a press conference 2 days ago in Syracuse to announce legislation that they will advance this session to require numeric modeling, which is really the prelude to any other action. So modeling of the Oswego River Basin that may expand to include the Mohawk as well, and also calling for an investigation into the feasibility of the establishment of a regulating district for the Oswego Basin. So really thinking about this at a systems level. I think anyone who's done work in the space of waterways knows that no waterway is discrete, right? It's all connected, and an intervention in one area might have impacts upstream or downstream. So they're really thinking about this in the right way. We've also had a positive response from the governor and from communities, so I'm encouraged that we'll be able to identify some low-hanging fruit opportunities this year to advance both with the legislature and potentially through the Environmental Bond Act. And also just thinking about this at an operational level, and some of the conversations that this process has opened with other water managers across the basins is truly a low-hanging fruit opportunity to better coordinate how we're handling releases and talking to each other about that. So that's a bit high level, but I just wanted to give you that update to let you know that process has reached this critical milestone. I'll also mention for anyone who's online and maybe is frustrated with the version of Zoom that we're using now, that doesn't allow the general attendees to unmute and participate. This is a real bummer for us. It's really important that these meetings are open and participatory, but at our final convening of the flood task force, we had a Zoom bombing incident where someone from the outside with malintent hacked into our meeting essentially, or broke in and shared really disturbing and traumatic content. So we don't want that to ever happen again. And we're working with our IT department and cybersecurity to make sure that we're better controlling access to these meetings. So apologies to anyone who won't have the opportunity to unmute, but in the future, for those who want to say anything, we can give you your individual Zoom link so that you can participate in the same way that Ambrose did and our other commission members who are on virtually. So I apologize for that. It is disappointing, but it's the reality of the world we're living in right now. And with that, I will pause for any questions. They cannot use the chat, I don't believe. They might be able to chat to panelists or ask a question there, but the chat was problematic in that incident as well. So it's very limited. But we are available and happy to have separate meetings with anyone who wants to dive more deeply into a topic. Questions?
Any questions for Rebecca? Just to reiterate, Rebecca mentioned that Senator Mannion and Senator Sturkey announced jointly sponsored legislation to study modeling and to have a feasibility study. That's under investigation. So this might stop it with the investigations. It's not an investigation, but it's a feasibility study to see how well a regulating district would work along the Oswego River Basin, which is tremendously complex. Each of you received a copy of the report as we submitted to the governor, the executive summary and the in-depth summary. So you've got all of the graphs, charts, maps, verbiage that she has seen and her staff is going over. So again, I want to commend Rebecca, Ken, and Joelle, and all of our commissioners who are listed on that report. This is a non-compensated position, and they gave very generously of their time and their expertise. We thank them. The flood mitigation task force is required to meet annually hereafter, so our work doesn't stop. We will be going forward, and of course, we're doing more outreach. We'll have this already go back out, even after the final report come in, back up to the Oswego River Basin. We are in contact with all of the stakeholders there almost on a weekly basis, because we're very interested in what comes next. Okay, thank you very much for that. We're going to move on now. If there's no more questions or comments to item number 6, and that is an update on the Canal Recreationway plan. Part of the CRC statutorily established mission of the 1992 legislation is to periodically update our guiding blueprint roadmap, which is the Canal Recreationway plan. And as you know, this is a process that we started a few years ago and was paused. I think that's probably the way to put it, but we're going to take that effort back up. And I'm here to outline that effort, and what we're going to be looking at is our very own Commissioner Powell as a president. Commissioner.
Thank you, Director Stratton. I appreciate that, and kudos to the flood task force that was. I didn't read all of it in detail. I definitely read the executive summary and some of the support materials. Good work, so thank you for all that. That time in here. So I have an announcement / update, and I'd like to file this under long time coming by Crosby, Stills and Nash. Think about that song for a minute. This is good news. This is really good news. We are seeking to update the Canal Recreationway plan and looking out to 2050. Think about that for a minute. This will be a collaborative effort between the CRC, the Canal Corporation, and the Reimagine folks. And I'm just delighted to announce this and very, very happy. So thanks, Angela, and Rebecca, and Brian. I know that we started this process some years ago, maybe 2015, 2014, and we put it on pause. And now we're going to start it up again. The timing on it is important. I think we're going to try to hire a consultant to our RFP process and try to get someone on board this fall. And that would be a first goal. We'd love to have this draft report in the first quarter of 2025. That'd be fabulous. Just in time for the bicentennial. And then release it after that. There's a lot of details and a lot of work to be done, but I think we're all up to the task, and I'm very excited about it. One of the things that I wanted to do at this point, before moving forward with any more detail, is to look at each one of the commissioners and just, get a head nod or a thumbs up, like, yes, this is what we want to do. And then if you have any comments about this before we move forward and begin with the official process. Because we don't get together that often, and when we do, I think it's important that we talk to each other about it. So, Michelle, I'd love to start with you as one of our commissioners, and what you thought on an updated plan.
Yay. I remember being bogged down, and I remember Canal Recreationway studies from way back before 2015, and they really can be guiding tools, but need to be flexible. This is a long period of time, and look forward and hope I can be of some help.
Thanks.
Can't be soon enough. Do you have an idea or a feel for how the CRC's input will manifest itself?
Every day. We're going to call you every day.
Okay. Call me twice.
What are you thinking about today? I don't think that's all been sorted out yet, but it is proposed to be a collaborative effort between the CRC, Canal Corporation, and the Reimagine folks. So
Just want to say, Michelle, on the north end of the canal, I'm here to help with whatever needs to be done, so.
Thanks, Rob. So we have two commissioners that are, yes, yes. Commissioner DeRoller? You have any comment?
Yes. Well, I was very interested in inputting some of the strategic planning. Rebecca and I have had a little bit of conversation on housing strategy, where it makes sense and it fits, and everyone is comfortable with where those locations are. We have a housing shortage, and there's a lot of beautiful water along the canal. So I'm interested in having that conversation. So looking forward to the whole process.
That's great, thank you. And Commissioner Cole, I see you over there.
Yes, hi. Yes, I'm all in favor of moving this along for a new plan. I believe the original plan was from 1995. I had read that thoroughly back in the day, and I know some things are still in the works from that long ago, so it'd be great to update it and refresh it.
That's great, thank you. I know that Commissioner Stetson Natalie is gonna try to phone in. She's in Pennsylvania doing something with museums. Are you on deck? Maybe not. Okay. If not, Commissioner.
Thank you, Cal. Applaud the efforts to any consensus. 25-year plan is very timely, essential, important to take our current vision forward from high altitude view formal framework for advancing progress in the great state. Thank you.
Okay. One more thing. Oh, there's going to be some material that we'll need to take a look at. I think you probably pre-read, and I think as a way of a background material, we should take a look at the draft plan that was put together in 2015 in addition to a number of other pieces of material. So there'll be a lot of reading and kind of studying before we get started. And so look for that at some time in the future.
Just for anyone who's not familiar with the initial Canal Recreationway plan that was released in 1995, prior to that point, the canal was seen still as a defunct industrial waterway or a relic of an industrial waterway. And the CRC was established in 1993 and produced this Recreationway plan in 1995, at that time looking ahead to the year 2000, I believe. And that was really the impetus to view the New York State canal system as something different, as a destination, as a place to recreate, as a place that you would value in your community in a different kind of way. So I just want to acknowledge that the canal system that we celebrate today when we talk about cycling along the Empire State Trail or Canalway Trail, or paddling or navigating the canal system recreationally, I think we can really attribute the credit to the CRC for making that transformation. So 2050 is a long time horizon. I think we'll have some shorter term goals, and vision statements inherent in the document as well. But I think the challenge in looking ahead for the next quarter century is, where are we? What have we learned? What might that vision be? How can we ensure that we're leaving a legacy for the next generation to define and grow? And I think there's definitely changes. We think differently about environmental preservation. We think differently about the impacts of climate change and systems. We have a different workforce dynamic. And I think for me, this is going to be an opportunity to just open the hood a little bit and share with the CRC collaboratively some of the challenges that we face in managing this 524-mile system, and thinking collectively about how do we set a vision that, that helps us to see past that takes it into consideration and establishes, what I come back to as the North Star. What are we really leaning toward? And I know Erie Canalway National Heritage Corridor is excited to be a part of this as well.
Thanks, Rebecca. I have a million notes. Once I heard that this was going to be picked up again, I started writing things down. There's no time to go through some of those big ideas today. But please write down some of your ideas and we'll get started. sometime this fall, and it will be in contact, so with that, I'll close it.
Cal, should we plan on having an update on that or a more interactive process as part of our October meeting?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I said yes. Good. So more about the October meeting as we get into the program, further in the program, before the end of the program. With no further questions on that, we look forward to again picking up that progress in earnest. And again, it's really wonderful to have an exciting that welcomes that discussion. I know it was abruptly brought to a pause, but we're back on track. So many things have come back on track in the last couple of years, which is a good thing. Okay, we're moving on to item number 7 on the agenda, and that is real property. We haven't had real property items on the agenda for many meetings, but we are back today with 3 items for your discussion and your consideration, commissioners. And with us today is Aaron Walters, our real estate specialist. That's the right title, Aaron, from our real property division in Albany. And Aaron is also joined by Jessica Foote. And Jessica is going to be a future Canal Recreationway Commission meetings for real property issues. So Aaron, I think you need to go to the front. Is that right? Is that right? No more, you can go from here. Okay. Aaron, the floor is yours to present. Well, let me actually, I think I introduced you them one by one. So let me just finish this out. Our first real property item is the proposed abandonment of approximately just over one half of 1 acre of canal land here along the Champlain Canal corridor of the town of Greenwich, Washington County. Aaron.
All right. Hi, everyone. There are, like the director mentioned, there are 3 proposed abandonments for the commission's consideration today. 2 located in the eastern region in the town of Greenwich, Washington County, and town and village of Herkimer County, and 1 in the western region in the town of Clay, Onondaga County. 2 of the proposed abandonments are small residential requests, and 1 is a transfer of jurisdiction to the Thruway Authority. Next slide. The first request is for a 0.57 acre parcel located in the town of Greenwich, Washington County. This parcel is located on the east side of the Champlain Canal, about a half mile south of Lot C6, west of Fort Miller Road. The parcel is not presently needed or anticipated to be needed for the operation and maintenance of the canal system. Next slide, please. The parcel is an irregular shaped waterfront property containing an 1,100 square foot camp encroachment constructed in the 1970s. The parcel is bounded on the north by additional state land under the jurisdiction of Canal Corporation, on the south and west by the Champlain Canal, and on the east by a strip of privately owned land along Fort Miller Road that the applicant for the parcel has a permanent easement over for access. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with the requested parcel. The property has been requested by the owner of the camp, who has had a permit with the Canal Corporation since she purchased the camp in 2008. The applicant would like to cure the encroachment and have clear title to the improvements located on the property. There is no landside public access to this parcel, but as mentioned, the applicant has legal access in the form of a permanent easement. The property is wholly located within a floodway.
The questions on the first item. We're going to take these one by one, and we will vote to move second and move ahead, and then we'll vote cumulatively at the end. If somebody wants to hold on any of them. I just want to say, Aaron, that these items have also been reviewed by our members of our property review committee, and that is Commissioner Iakella and Commissioner Wiles. We went through these property items with them last week. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention there's 2 sets of photos for this item here. Is that the first one? Yeah. So the first one is looking southwest and southeast, and then the second one, next slide, please, is a a view of the north and the west side as well. And that was it. That was it, Bill, that first item. Are there any questions?
Everybody know where we are? We're on the east side of the Champlain Canal, Hudson River, and in Washington County, beautiful part of the Champlain Canal. These types of encroachments are common. Glad to move them over the tax roads of the municipality.
What person is the much less?
Oh, right. Sorry. Okay, is this for the individual, this isn't a municipality, it's located in the county of Washington, but it's not the county that's requesting this, it's the individual property owner, correct?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Are we ready to go to the second item? Okay.
Everybody, no further discussion. Let's have a move and a second move by Commissioner second by Commissioner Miles. We're both cumulatively on the end. Let's go on to item number 2, moving east to west. And the next item is the proposed abandonment and transfer of jurisdiction over approximately 32 acres of canal land located in the town and village of Herkimer in Herkimer County along the New York State Thruway.
That's correct. The second Eastern Region abandonment request is for approximately 32 acres. It's located in the town and village of Herkimer. The property is comprised of 2 non-contiguous parcels at Thruway exit 30 along the Erie Barge Canal. These parcels are not presently needed or anticipated to be needed for the operation and maintenance of the canal system. Next slide, please. The property proposed to be abandoned and transferred to the New York State Thruway are 2 separate parcels measuring approximately 31 acres and 1 acre in size respectively. These parcels were supposed to be transferred to the Thruway back in the 1950s when the Thruway was constructed, but were never transferred. The parcels are nearly fully improved with New York State Thruway improvements, including asphalt pavement, buildings, eastbound and westbound highway, bridges, and ingress and egress ramps associated with the Herkimer exit 30 on the New York State Thruway. This property is directly across Mohawk Avenue from Jenn's along the Mohawk development. Based on a visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with this requested parcel. The property has been requested by the New York State Thruway Authority so it can have jurisdiction over the property, continuing its improvements. The Thruway is planning on work on both bridges over the Erie Barge Canal and needs jurisdiction over the property to enter into contracts for the work. The parcels are accessible from exit 30, Mohawk Street, and a portion is accessible from New York State Route 5 South under the jurisdiction of the New York State Department of Transportation. These parcels are made up of numerous barge canal parcels appropriated during the barge canal improvement between 1908 and 1915. Prior to its disposition, a review or consultation with the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcels' historic and archaeological significance will be undertaken to condition the transfer if necessary based on SHPO's recommendation. The parcel is located in a mixed-use district. Transfer of jurisdiction of the property will have no impact on the Empire State Canalway Trail, paralleling New York State Route 5 South under the Thruway bridges. In order to transfer the property to the New York State Thruway, the property is first abandoned in accordance with the canal law. Then the Office of General Services reassigns jurisdiction over the property to the Thruway Authority pursuant to the public lands law. The Canal Corporation will work with OGS to ensure it retains all rights necessary for operations and maintenance of the canal system, including the segment of trail and the New York State DOT's interest to operate and maintain New York State Route 5 South. Next slide, please. And here are a set of photos looking south at the interior subject near the Thruway exit 30, as well as east. And then we have another second set of a street view, which is on the Thruway going eastbound. And then on the far right is the westbound view. Any questions?
Yes, who owns the bridges?
Would that be, it would be New York State?
Thank you.
If you go back to the original overlay map that you had that showed the cloverleaf, that one right there, back there. Okay, so there's a little notch right by the bridge that goes over the Mohawk next to Gems and where the exit of the thruway is coming in to go into Gems along the Mohawk. And that property has been used, I believe, by Herkimer County for the establishment of a statute. Is that still staying within their jurisdiction or ours? You know, Dave?
Brian, that,
We need to use the mic.
yeah, I believe that location is just north of that notch.
Put it up to your mouth.
That location is just north of that notch there.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, that notch area, we're going to discuss that with the thruway authority. That's where our car feed is. So we're going to need to try to figure out what to do about it.
Okay. Everybody know where we are along the New York State Thruway? Those of us who have made this trip more times than we want to and can remember, we know well where that is. And a fabulous restaurant, Gems along the Mohawk, and one of our on the canals recreational providers through Erie Canal Cruise. So we don't know why these things take so long, but that should have been transferred a long time ago, right? Okay. Government is slow, as we learned earlier today. Okay, any more questions or comments on this property item for Aaron? Can I have a motion to accept? The motion is second. Cal Wysokowski moves. And Mayor Patorte seconds. Thank you. Okay, on to item number 3. Aaron, you introduce it for us. Do something with it.
Okay. All right, so our final request is located in the western region. It's a 2.1 acre parcel located in the town of Clay. This parcel is located about a mile southwest of Block E23 on the east side of Oneida River, Erie Barge Canal. The parcel is located at the westernmost end of Becker Road in the town of Clay. The parcel is not presently needed or anticipated to be needed for the operation and maintenance of the canal system. Next slide, please. The parcel is slightly irregular in shape, measuring approximately 400 feet by 220 feet. The parcel has a water view and is separated from the shoreline of the canal by an approximately 100-foot wide strip of land that will remain under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation. The parcel is level and mostly wooded. The parcel is bounded on the north, south, and west by additional state land under the jurisdiction of the Canal Corporation, and on the east by approximately 50 acres of land owned by the applicant along Becker Road, who has a permit for a portion of the property. Based on the visual inspection, there are no environmental concerns associated with this requested parcel. The property has been requested by the adjoining owner to be used for a portion of the planned home site. The applicant's adjoining property at this location contains wetlands limiting construction of a proposed home. This parcel is a portion of Canal Parcel 246, appropriated in 1908. Prior to its disposition, a review by the State Historic Preservation Office for the parcel's historic and archaeological significance will be requested, and the Canal Court will condition the deed accordingly based on SHPO's determination. The parcel is located in a residential agricultural district, which primarily permits agriculture and single-family residential uses with 2.3 acre or larger lots. Abandonment and sale of the parcel will have no impact on any existing or proposed trail. Next slide, please. And here's the first set of photos within that parcel. Looking north, east, south, and then there's another set of photos as well on the south end. Any questions?
What was the disposal? There was an upland disposal site, they were disposing of the liability.
We were kind of discussing this yesterday, right?
Yeah.
In UDS.
Yeah. The property was appropriated well over 100 years for that land disposal site. It hasn't been used in 50 to 75 years for that purpose. It's landlocked. We can't get to it. except from the water, and it is a historic beauty, yes, but it has not been used. 50 years.
Do you have to have any liability, I mean, especially if it's single family residential use?
I don't believe, well, we've done a visual inspection, we don't believe so, we'll do a phase 1 on it, but I don't think there's any material there to be concerned with. And our contracts are always heavily, the environmental language in our contracts and our deeds cover us for that.
It says the parcel is separated from the Oneida River Erie Barge Canal on the west by approximately 100-foot wide strip of land that will remain with the Canal Corporation. Can we go back to the overhead, that one?
Yep, so on the east, so that parcel that's lighted, so you can't really see it, but there's a strip of property that we still have jurisdiction, so it's still not a waterfront property, but they do have water view.
So that lights blue.
That's part of the old canal, right? Is that-
On the canal side, so it's where the irregular shape of the parcel goes out, it's 100
Yeah.
feet out from there, so.
I wish we could zoom in and we can
Okay.
see that 100-foot gap, but it's there.
We have done some preliminary survey work, and there is about 100-foot buffer along the canal and also. We do have some preliminary survey work done, and there is about 100 feet buffer along the west side of the property and also the south side where you see that man-made canal. So it is water view, not waterfront.
So the 100-foot buffer that you just described is outside the red line?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, I apologize for the aerial in our land layer. Sometimes it's off a little bit.
Also just jump in as we review these ahead of the meeting. Given our newfound education around the Oswego River Basin and what we can do as citizens to limit development within floodplains, we did check this parcel against the floodplain maps, and any development here would not be within the controlled area. So when we look at parcels in Onondaga and Cuyahoga County, that is something that we will be cognizant of, just thinking about the potential for runoff or obstruction of wetlands or floodplains that might be otherwise reconnected. So this was not a concern for this parcel.
Do we know if that canal channel is part of the old canal, right? Or is that something else?
No, Brian, that's actually a man-made canal cut, similar to what we were looking at many years ago, Hutchins. That cut went in the 1960s, and that's under.
Oh, that was for the Hutchins.
No, it was well before Hutchins.
What was its purpose?
It's a private canal cut into a residential subdivision under permit. It's an association.
Are you familiar with this? Trustee Gonzalez?
No.
No? Okay. Any further questions on this property item?
can I just bring up what I brought up at the committee meeting, is that I would not be surprised if there would be a lot more land use issues in this particular area with the multi-billion-dollar investment that Micron is putting in the neighborhood. That this is the first of many, I think.
I agree. I wonder who's next, who will be next? Because of the development in that area.
We certainly look at that, and that's an increasing dynamic. For those that don't know, we have a huge influx of economic development coming into the greater Syracuse region, this region with the Micron and all the jobs and the economic development activity, which is a positive, but it's certainly to inflation. Great real estate prices.
Not only that, but it's a 20-year build out. So this is a problem that we're going to have to be paying attention to and being forward thinking about Their project is 20 years to this point.
And this is not far from where our first meeting was, our first meeting that really preceded the beginning of the upstate flood task force was held in the town of Clay, which is close to Cross Lake, and which is the nexus of a lot of the issues that we were studying during that. So that's also, so mindful of that going forward. All right, we've had all three. Aaron, thank you. Any other questions for Aaron? We've got all three. We need a motion to move and second. Moved by Commissioner Iacono, second by Commissioner Wiles. Okay, so we've moved and seconded all three property items. So we've had discussion opportunity in all three property items. If we can do so, we will vote on them as a block. In favor of moving all three items forward, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, commissioners. Commissioner Cole, Commissioner DeRoller. Your eyes in there? Okay, very good. Opposed, say no. The motion passed. Our three property items are approved, and they will go on to their lengthy process going forward. Any questions on their disposition that you have along the way, we can update at future meetings. Aaron, thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Would you like to? Thank you, Aaron. Would you like to reintroduce Jessica?
Oh, Jessica, would you like that? Yes. So Jessica has joined our team since I think last week, and Thursday, so not even a week, I guess. She's going to be the disposition and acquisition manager working under Dave Boschart, and she's just starting the onboarding process.
Good. Wait, Jessica. Okay, Jessica.
One down, 1,000.
Prepare to have a spotlight soon, Jessica. So it's all good. Okay, we're moving right along. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. We look forward to more real property items coming our way soon. We've moved on to item number 8, and that is other business and general discussion for the commissioners to address. Other business, the time to bring up something that we may have not covered or ask for an update either now or at a future CRC. No takers. On screen, Commissioner Cole, Commissioner DeRoller. Okay.
Good.
All set.
Very good. Now we're moving on to item number 9, and that is general discussion by members of the public. We have several members of the public with us, and I think at least one of them would like to say hello, and those are our friends from the Champlain Canalway Trail Working Group. President Gillivan and Mary, you're both here. Why don't you, if you want something to say, we'll pass microphone back to you.
I'll see if I got this right. First of all, thank you so much for the grant that we got this spring. We held 2 events, one in May, one in June, and just pumped us up. We had guided bike ride at both events, and we did bicycle safety education. Our goal is promoting the trail, promoting recreation safely, building the rest of the Champlain Canalway Trail. It's kind of a dotted line from on-road, off-road, on-road, off-road. Really wanting to oversee getting it more off-road. The more we table, the more questions we get. When I first started tabling, maps, do you have maps? Everybody wanted maps. Now they want maps, but they all want to know where's it off-road. So it's an interesting change and encourages us all to keep going, building trails that people can easily use, family friendly and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry. We are reaching out to supervisors, mayors, leaders in each of our communities, hoping to get more representation on the Champlain Canalway Trail Working Group. And years ago, I think we've had reps from each town. We'd like to revitalize that part of our membership because the communications between towns, between agencies like this, really helps a lot. If everybody knows what everybody else is doing, we can hand in hand working things better. So that's kind of just a quick overview of what we're driving. Thank you.
Barry, thank you very much. John, do you have any comments to add to that? You are very, I want you to know that you are led by a very capable cyclist who I've had the pleasure of riding sometimes. I hope he's faster than he used to be to keep up. But John is out there on the trails and not only confines himself to the Champlain Canal corridor, but you're going to be leading a tour later this month along the Finger Lakes with Mr. Krause. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, Dave's down there, right? Dave's in Seneca Falls, I think, today.
Good.
But we'll be doing a private tour in October.
Good.
So, yeah, so I became very interested in Champlain Canalway Trail several years ago. And I was connected through John Mitchell, who is a bike and pedestrian advocate from the town of Mechanicville. And so I got roped into attending one of these Zoom meetings during COVID. And so that was the end of it. I haven't been able to break loose, but I have ridden all the segments of the Champlain Canalway Trail, and I'm enlightened by it. I try to turn any of my friends on to it, family, whoever, and broadcast it constantly. So again, we thank you for your support and the grant that we got this year for our 2 events. And we're looking forward to make that bigger and better next year.
We are happy for that. That probably came through the CFA, the Consolidated Funding Application Workshop. Absolutely, but always good to be able to support development of the Champlain Canalway Trail, which is a section of the much larger Empire State Trail. And that's a good thing. If you want to pick up your distance, I would suggest riding with John Sari, who goes out to 100 and 125 mile casual rides without brakes. But I don't know how he does it, but it's one of our common canals. When is your meeting? When are your meetings? Are they telecast? Are they Zoom? How can people find out more?
Right, thanks to COVID, we meet by Zoom a lot. The working group meets in the odd numbered months of the year, so 6 times a year. We have a subcommittee called the Marketing Committee that does a lot of our nitty-gritty event planning and trail planning, that kind of stuff. We meet in the even months of the year. So the first Tuesday of every month is a meeting day. Just come, we'll put you on whichever committee's meeting.
Wonderful. Well, we're looking forward to getting back up there. Please, John, keep us posted on the next meetings. Our calendar is always fluid, but we always like hearing from you. So please keep us posted. Are there any members of the public, other members of the public who would like to address the CRC? Share good news for the welfare of the audience. We have some of our Canal staff members here with us today in the audience. Angelina Shanford is with us. She manages our Reimagine the Canals program. Paul Leslie works with Angelina. Canal Fellow, of course, is back there. And Bill Schweitzer, all very shy people. So you might be able to get them to talk to you after the meeting. Thank you very much. I would also like to, unless we have any further items of general discussion by the members of the public, put it on screen. Anybody that I've left out or ignored or turned my back to on the screen. First one. Hearing none, we'll go on to the date established for our next meeting, which will move to the Cayuga Seneca Canal, and this will be held in the historic village of Seneca Falls. And that meeting will take place on Thursday, October 26th. We are inviting commissioners to travel in early if they would like to do so, and overnight at the Blue Hotel in historic Seneca Falls, and take in some of Seneca Falls flavor. That evening in the morning, we will have a tour of the historic Seneca Falls knitting mill, and then we hosted a Generations Bank in the Seneca Falls for our general meeting. So Kim will be in touch with you to confirm your attendance and to give you any particulars on the questions for travel arrangements for our commission members. Very interesting meeting and looking forward to having more updates on those great things that we talked about, including the CRC plan. That's now recreational plan. Any questions about the October meeting? October is a magical time. At the River Seneca Falls Canal. Actually, it's going to close by that time. But Seneca Falls will not be closed. And of course, Seneca Falls is home to the great It's a Wonderful Life parade every season. So, well, every year, every Christmas. We missed it last year, but we're going to try to get back this year, along with the Sasquatch Festival. When is that?
The Sasquatch is August 30th. September 30th. September 30th.
September 30th, Sasquatch
Yes.
Festival. Why do we have the Sasquatch
We had,
Festival?
well, first of all, we've had 3 showings of Sasquatch. And at one time, the village board of Whitehall put a resolution, it's illegal to shoot Sasquatch. And the reason for that is because we have a lot of crazy people in Whitehall that might go out in the woods with a Sasquatch uniform on, so they want to shoot them. So, because we have about 150 vendors coming, we usually have like between 3,000 to 4,000 people in Whitehall. And one of the biggest events is the Sasquatch calling contest. And they're judged, and we have adults, and we have a young kid right up through, going through, trying to do the Sasquatch call. No. I don't know what he sounds like, no. So, again, it's a big event, and we're right in the canal in the visitor center along the park area there, so it's quite an event. So come on out.
September 30th, is that a Saturday?
Yes, it's Saturday.
Right.
And no rain.
Would you talk to Bill Schweitzer?
We'll be there.
Our marketing department.
Canal will be there.
We have
We
presidents and Bill wants to practice. It's Sasquatch call.
You certainly can. Now, you're being judged, of course, the judges have their backs turned, so they don't know who's doing the calling. So, you'll be all set, Jeff.
This is what you get by tuning into the CRC. It's a wonderful thing, and we have not participated in the Sasquatch Festival, but I remember seeing all the clips, and you and I talked about. I committed that we're going to try to do at this year's Sasquatch Festival. September is a very busy month. So I'm going to try to put that in. All right, Kim will be in touch with you, and with that, I also want to thank Kim for a fellow and.
Yes.
All right, Trustee Gonzalez has asked me to make a very important announcement, which I should have made on my own, but thank you for reminding me. The September meeting of the New York State Power Authority and Canal Corporation Board of Directors is going to be held on the canal in Pittsburgh, Fairport, and in Brockport on September 26th, 4 days before the Sasquatch Festival. And we are looking forward to welcoming all of the trustees to the canal. We will come into Pittsburgh, stay overnight, take a ride all along the canal, visit Fairport Electric, which is one of our municipal providers that NIPA provides low-cost power to. And Fairport is very, very proud of Fairport Electric. As Cal knows, this Cal used to be the IDA director in Fairport. It was one of her selling points for coming to Fairport. So, trustee, we're looking forward to welcoming you to the canal and showing you the beautiful village of Fairport. We got 3 new trustees who have just joined the board, 4 new trustees, and Trustee Gonzalez is going to ensure that they see all the wonderful canal pass the office.
No, I just think, I think it's a perfect opportunity to continue to build across to build the allegiances and awareness and knowledge across NIPA. Right? And the 4 new trustees are very excited for this meeting because the canals was quite surprised part of their life. They're excited. They're excited. for the opportunity that's going to be presented today.
Thank you, Pete. We're also going to hold a meeting, formal meeting will be at the SUNY Brockville campus, and it's right adjacent to where our ongoing Reimagine the Canals Brockport pedestrian bridge is going to be under construction very soon. There's actually some of the footings for it have already started, and we're looking forward to seeing that project through and hopefully have some more exciting news for that. So trustees on the canal in September, and then we are back together in October in Seneca Falls. There's no further issues to come before the Canal Rec Commission. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Commissioner Wysokowski, seconded by Commissioner Ioketa. All those in favor of adjournment say aye.
Aye.
Screen? Yep. Okay. So all those who want to continue to talk some more say no. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you very much. We'll see you in October.